Welcome to Scare Confident. I'm your host, Tiffany Souter. So this episode should maybe come with a rant warning. We'll see how it all comes out. This has been rolling around in my head for the last few days, and I feel like I need to try to speak on it. We'll see how it comes out. So I gave a talk a couple days ago, and a lot of times afterwards, people will come up and ask me questions or kind of share some of their more personal stories and moments with what I talked about, maybe want some application in their own lives. And I want to try to protect the innocent here, but someone came up and said, we're at a space where it feels like we're in our mid-30s. There's a lot of big decisions to make ahead of us. Like, how do we make sure that we have the financial security that we want for our future? How do we, decide what we want in our family? How do we decide how we want to use our time? Just kind of this moment where there's a lot of the decisions and choices that have been made. We need to decide if we're going to create some change in our world. And I said, what are you willing to give up to get what you want? What are you willing to give up to get what you want? And my encouragement to her was that, hey, you and your spouse, you need to get really clear about what you want the next 5, 10, 20 years to look like. Because once that's aligned, you can start making choices today that lead you to that end. And I saw this moment where she started to see there are things that I want to do right now. For instance, travel to amazing places. If I decide I want some of these things in my future, I may not have the ability to do both of those things. So let's use an example. Let's say saving for a house was one of their goals. I'm projecting this part of it, but let's imagine saving for a house is one of their goals. Well, if you're going to save for a house and that becomes a goal in the future, that means that you have to likely not spend money on something today so that you can give yourself that later goal instead of spending the money on what you're doing today. And I saw this moment where she was like, I kind of want both. And you know what? Whenever you kind of want both, what ends up happening is that you spend your money on your short-term goals, satisfaction, happiness, impulses, desires, and everything that you want in the future becomes a crapshoot. It becomes full-on luck. And probably not even luck. You start to create a very unlucky future for yourself, would be my guess. And this discipline of being able to understand wanting something tomorrow means I have to give up something today. And if you are not willing to do that, you are not going to get your tomorrow. I'm here to tell you. Even things as when I would close my eyes at night, before JR and I had all 4 girls, and I would just see this big household, this big, crazy, active, busy, loud household. That was something I wanted in my future. There was never a year, ever, 0 of them, where I thought, you know what, this is such a good year to have a baby. This is such a good year for me to wrestle with breastfeeding. This is such a good year for me to not have any sleep. This is such a good year for JR and I to create even more complexity in our relationship as we create change of adding one more kid. There are exactly 0 years where that happened. 0 of them. But I can't want the picture of a big family. I can't want this future and this vision and not be willing to give up some sleep, some peace, some financial resources, all these things that it took to decide to have a baby. So that's a really big one. But financially, the places you put your time, the friends you want in your future, the places you want to go. And I said to this young woman, I said, I go on some pretty rad trips. We take some great vacations. We stay in really nice places. And there's usually valet. And I love it so much. I get to do that today in my mid-40s. When Jared and I were in our 20s, that is not what vacations look like. We were literally coupon codes of 4 days, 3 nights at the Sheraton in Orlando. And we would make sure there was a mini fridge so that we could go get groceries. And we were not buying drinks at the pool. And we were driving, literally, not getting flights. We were going out to eat at Applebee's. It was places where there is not valet. I'm not making fun of those things. I'm just saying there was a season of a lot of scarcity and leanness and a choice to say, I am going to give up some bougie experiences and satisfaction in my 20s so that my 30s can look different. And if my 30s look different, then my 40s can look different. And I am loving my 40s. And we are still making some choices and things that we don't have in our lives because we want our 50s to look different and our 60s to look different. So I'm not telling you to make my choices, but I am saying you have got to be honest with yourself about what you want in the future is going to require you to give up something today. It just is. Life is not a zero-sum game. It's just how it works. And I think falling in love with your future, getting a vivid picture of that future, putting yourself in that mentally and like, what is it going to feel like? And what am I going to be able to do? And what will I be able to say yes to? And what freedom do I want in that stage in my life? That kept me going when I was in seasons of, no, I can't, not right now. We didn't have the space for it. We had chosen not to create the financial investment in things that were not going to serve our future financially. So again, you get to make your own call, but this is a reminder that a vivid picture of the future for me helps me more clearly be clear and comfortable with the things I have to say no to today to get what I want into the future. Okay, this is your reminder. Life is not a zero-sum game. And what are you willing to give up today to get what you want? Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Scared Confident. Until next time, keep telling fear, you will not decide what happens in my life. I will.